Okay, let's see now. Okay, here we go. Okay, stream is healthy now. Great. All right. Oh, all right. Just letting everyone know because new link. And I will stop. I'll stop bugging people. All right. Hopefully we don't run into the same problem as before. It's so warm in my room that sometimes I can't even get my gloves on. All right. Yeah, so I don't know how this will be viewed or who will view it or whatever, but yeah, the streaming software, the way they have it set up, it's very frustrating. There are some changes you can't make midway in your stream, so you can't. There are certain things you just cannot adjust until you end your stream and then come back. It's a very frustrating system. And there's no way of like stopping the stream and then coming back to it, at least in YouTube. In Twitch you can, because you only have, that's actually just realized an advantage of Twitch, because you only have one stream in Twitch. It's always the same link, it's always the same place. On YouTube, it creates a new link every time. So yeah, that's a problem, that it creates a new link every time. So if you want to leave and come back, you can't. Obviously, the YouTube system has a lot of advantages over the Twitch, but yeah, that's one I didn't expect to be an issue. Okay, that's good. Seems to be okay for now. For now. Keywords. Thought it was fine before too, and then it started having issues. Hey Pam, welcome. Please let me know if there's any audio issues or video issues, because I was having some before. If they pop up. As far as I know, everything's working fine now. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. Otherwise, I will probably keep blabbing about, I don't know, my technique or general painting concepts or whatever. But yeah, doing some family member portraits, for gifts. Uh, I was just visiting with family and took some photos. I thought it'd be nice to do some, and then uh, I am not going to show the reference photos. No, I'm not showing the reference photos because they didn't. I didn't ask them if I can, so I'm not going to show. I can show my paintings, but I'm not going to show reference photos of people who I didn't ask if I can put them on stream or not. So yeah. Also, I'll be honest, I don't really like showing reference photos that much. People tend to, when you show reference photos, they start comparing your painting to the reference photo. And that's not always optimal, because you're not all that's not always what you're going for. At least I'm not. I'm not always trying to make a copy of the reference photo, but people, not everyone understands the liberties that, you're taking with it. And then you get all kinds of comments or criticism that don't really they don't really apply. Like you know, because the goal isn't to make a copy of the photo. It's to use it to make a painting. Now, I'm not saying everyone does that, obviously, and sometimes there's, constructive criticism that can come from showing the reference and talking it over and everything for sure. But I have to know the people and trust that they are going to understand what I'm trying to do and convey, and and therefore I'm going to trust their critique and their feedback. Unless I guess my goal is to show like how much I am using the reference and how much I'm, modifying it. That I could do for a different stream, I suppose. As like I don't know if teaching is the right word, but as an example, maybe. But definitely not of family members who I didn't get permission from prior. Yeah. I mean, part of the reason I didn't get permission is because, technically speaking, I didn't tell them I was doing this. Um, you know, planning on just sending them off. And generally, I don't do gifts. I don't do paintings as gifts because it muddies the water between like work and, you know, uh, and gifts and what people expect then from, you know, expect from you and so on. But um, that's why I'm not telling them basically. That's the idea. So, because I'm not telling them, I don't mind doing it because there's no expectations. And there's also a good way for me to like, what's it called? Get back into painting with, somewhat of a low, what's the word? I'm looking for not stress, but I guess expectations. So, I'm not really planning on making like a YouTube video out of this stream necessarily. So it's good. It's a good opportunity to practice, deal with all the technical issues of streaming and so on before I get into like my more, I don't know what the right word would be for it, because important is not the right word, but professional, or I don't know what the right word is, but yeah, that's the general idea. I am planning on working on a series of paintings at some point. And by some point, I mean soon. I just have to kind of iron out the overall theme, get all my reference, you know, get all my references together, and then start working on my series. Because up until now, it's been kind of piecemeal. I've been a little all over the place, which is fine, but I think I want to try working on a cohesive series, which is, you know, has its own challenges. It feels a little limiting, honestly, because I do enjoy being able to bounce around from one thing to another and you know, having a series that's very cohesive is, in a lot of ways, very limiting. But, doesn't mean I have to only work on the series. It's just part of things. So that's the way I'm trying to look at it. So maybe I'll work on a series and have maybe I'll work on two series at the same time. One cohesive and one of random stuff. I'm also planning on, for the series, I was talking with an artist, um, who I respect, and who I'm actually taking her boot camp. And I was talking with her about it. And I think one of the things is I'm going to be doing larger paintings for that. So it might be something where I do like larger paintings for the series, and then, do some little smaller oddities that aren't related to the series while still working on the series. I don't know. We'll see. at the same time, I think I don't want to talk about it too much just because I feel like sometimes I burn out all my enthusiasm and excitement on things by talking about them instead of actually just doing them. I don't know if I'm the only one who does that, but I feel like that happens to me sometimes. Hey, Simon. Welcome. Yeah, it's been a while, I know. How have you been? You were the first like? Ah, thank you. Yeah, I was having some trouble with the stream. I had to actually stop the stream and start it over again. And yeah. Oh well. Technical problems will happen, especially in the beginning. So, not a big deal. How have you been? Oh, thank you. That's very sweet of you. So, trying to think about, you know, what to talk about as far as like my painting process goes, or if anyone has questions, I'm always happy to answer questions. But yeah, I'm getting close to the brayer stage, which is always, uh, or I think is pretty fun. I get to mess everything up and then try and reconstruct it all. Uh, so today I am doing some painting. I'm doing a painting of some family members. Um, I when I was visiting, I took these photos and uh, yeah, just doing some family family members gifts kind of thing. Um, so it's four people and a fifth. The fifth wasn't actually there that day, but I wanted to include them in the painting, so I just stuck them on top. Um, I think it'll be kind of funny. I'm putting them there as like a thought bubble kind of thing. Like, so even though they're not there in person, they're thinking about them kind of thing. Yeah, I haven't been posting a lot of my photo of my paintings. Well, okay, I haven't done a lot of paintings recently, but also I need to run glaze on all of my paintings, so I haven't really posted them yet. Um, the stupid AI stuff. I'm not going to get into the discussion about that, but yeah, I want to run glaze on all of my paintings before I post them. Yeah. Well, and also I like I said, I was on vacation basically visiting family, and I didn't do any painting while I was doing that, so I haven't painted in a while. This is me getting back into the swing of things, which, isn't terribly hard when you're used to doing this stuff, but I'm a little rusty, not like horribly rusty, just a little rusty. Yeah, yeah. I wish Glaze was quicker and easier to run. That's the only issue with it, but because I can't. The biggest thing is like I post a lot of stuff from my phone a lot of times, and it doesn't work that way. That's the biggest and most annoying issue with Glaze. You're working out again? That's great. I, it's really frustrating. I have this in the chat. I have the heart thing, and it's like it actually covers up some of the text, so I can't see all of the chat. It's okay, that's better. Okay, there we go. I moved things around a little. Yeah, it needs a good PC to work. I mean, my PC can run it. It's slow. I just like run it and let it go overnight. But you know, I want to run it off of my I want to run it off of my phone ideally, and that isn't going to happen anytime soon. They are doing an online thing for Glaze though, for anyone who's interested. Um, like an online service. So, that's something. All right, now's the fun part. So I do the thing with the brayer for multiple reasons. Um, it helps cover up any gaps I missed. Yeah, I I feel you there. I'm trying to get back into shape as well. Um, just for health reasons. But yeah. So yeah, the brayer it helps me fill in gaps that I've missed, and then I like the randomality of things that it adds to things, and it also tends to even out a lot of colors and stuff, which um, I know a lot of people don't like in their paintings because they go for contrast, but I'm not usually all that worried about contrast in my paintings. Um, because I usually, not usually, I often am trying to do very subtle, uh, blown out, or, I mean, sometimes they're dark, but it doesn't matter. I'm trying to do low contrast, subtle things usually in my painting. So, uh, yeah, it kind of evens everything out. And I do like the randomality that it introduces. I often will try and keep some of the random elements that it creates. If not at this stage, then at a later stage, I'll do it again. Um, but I like trying to integrate that because there are some artists that I really like, but they sometimes I feel like that randomality, they just kind of add it on top at the end, and it feels a little um, manufactured, I'll say. I don't know, maybe that's the wrong way to approach it, but yeah. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I need where I need to adjust anything. So um, I'm using this app that lets you overlay the image on top of it. I've done this in Photoshop before, but um, it is I'm trying this because doing it on stream is a little hard. Do I do a sketch before painting? No, I don't. Um, if I was doing a uh, sorry, if I was doing what's it called, a complicated image where I was going to do a photo shoot and I had a very like I was trying to specifically figure out like if I was basically doing like a cover or an illustration, I'd do a sketch before because I'd be trying to figure out where all the elements go. But in oil paintings, I don't do it as much because I'm usually working off a reference. So the reference is kind of my sketch. Um, I what's it called? I edit my reference to make it look like what I want it, you know, what I'm planning on painting and what I want it to look like. So I kind of get the idea beforehand that way. And then usually for this stage, like I said, what I would do for this stage is I'd take a photo of it at this stage, throw it into Photoshop, overlay it on top of my my reference photo and then just see, see where I need to adjust things. But because I'm streaming, I'm going to try doing it on this app. I, I can do all of this freehand. I have in the past. It's just slower and you know, it's just that's basically it. It's slower. So I rather try and use these techniques to try and speed me up, but that's not to say that there's definitely merit in learning these techniques, like learning to do this freehand completely, which like I said, I've done in the past, but um, for stuff like this, I just ain't nobody got time for that kind of thing. Also, I actually discovered that doing stuff like this has helped my accuracy to a degree because it lets me see where I'm, you know, where my accuracy is inconsistent and let me try and adjust in real time, like adjust how I'm seeing things versus, doing it like completely freehand and then slowly trying to like dial it in. Um, yeah, I've had that. I've had it. I think I've had it help me actually get better. But could be wrong. I could be developing a crutch on this stuff. That's always the fear. Oh, yeah, Kim Jong-ji. No, no, I am not even close. I'm not talking about that at all, nor would I ever presume to. No, I just meant like I've done it where I've gone to what's it called, painting workshops and stuff like that, and you're painting from a model. So it's like, you know, freehand like that. Uh, yeah, no chance. I I am not even gonna, you know, try to say anything as far as Kim Jong Ji. Yeah, no, he was amazing. He was another level. Something that I'm definitely like his drawings and his ability to freehand everything like that was just insane. Um, I don't know. I really don't know if that is something that you can learn. Like I think anyone can learn to draw or paint, but to draw like that, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if that's something that you can teach yourself or practice, or if it's just something in his brain that allowed him to do that in a way that like most other people can't. I'm not sure. Because I can draw freehand. I can draw. That's what I mean, I do storyboards, so I do draw freehand from imagination kind of thing, but just not like that. It's nowhere near like that. There's I read this book and it talked about like the general idea was about like excellence and being able to, you know, improve on one's skill and abilities and stuff. But there are some things um that you just can't do. Like, there are limitations. One of the limitations they talked about was like it was a special thing for dancers where if you don't um if you don't, develop a certain flexibility before a certain age, then your body grows in a certain way where like you'll never be able to do that particular thing. Um, it's not like the worst thing in the world, obviously, but it was interesting to read about for sure. Oh, a lot of people try to be like Kim Jong Ji, and I don't know if I don't want to say he was one. I mean, obviously he was one of a kind in some ways, but there are people who have you know, that have all these weird abilities. Like there's a guy who does he does like these insanely large and detailed drawings of cities all from memory. It's like crazy stuff like that where you're just like, okay, this is like I don't know how you're doing that, but it's impressive. Um, some people just have those unique like abilities. Oh, sure, and people are fearless and like I said, there's lots of ways to improve. I thought it was a really good book, but it was just that was a specific example of like your when your body grows, if you don't move it into it for dancing, if you don't like develop that particular flexibility, and it's a very special one. It's not like flexible in general. I just can't remember. It's like the rotation of the hip or something that you just can't do later on. Um, but that's a very unique thing. Most things aren't like that. Most things you can improve on and you can continue to improve on basically your whole life. Yeah, I don't know if it's fully accurate, but I mean, it's pretty close. I remember, I'm trying to remember, he might be on the spectrum, but I don't remember if he's one of those people because I've seen some videos about, some people with like, trying to remember if it's autism or something else, and they're like, not autism, they're savants, and so they're like really amazing at certain things, but then there's, their general ability to like communicate with people and social skills are somewhat lacking in normative spaces or whatever you want to call it. Um, but yeah, those people have like special born abilities kind of thing. Like there's some people who can like there's a guy who can like read um he can read books um by reading both pages at the same time, like one eye on each page or something. Stuff like that where you're just like, I don't know if this is an ability I can learn necessarily, if I wanted to. I'm not sure this is something I can learn. Uh so That's what I was referring to with Kim Jong Gi, where I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not positive this is something you can learn. You know what I mean? Like he had that ability to paint things out of his head in a way that most people just don't. Even like really good comic book artists who generally don't use a lot of reference, like you know, uh, and not that you're a bad comic book artist if you use reference. I'm just using like examples. But even then, he was kind of stand out for his ability to draw free form from his head without sketching and all of that. Yeah. Um, if you're interested, the book is called, I think, Peak Performance. I'll be honest, it's a good book. It's kind of boring. I think the author is, I mean, he did studies and stuff about performance and improving skills and stuff like that. Really interesting information, but yeah, a little on the dry side. I actually recommended it to a few people, and everyone who tried to listen to it or read it basically gave up. So, you know. Oh yeah. There's nothing wrong with using reference, and yeah, Alex Ross is amazing. Uh, it gets a bad um, like people who don't know what they're talking about have made it into like a negative, but it's it's very silly, and I think that has influenced some artists to think that they can't use reference and stuff because it has this negative connotation, but that's it in my mind that's just silly. Um, yeah, artists have been using reference for forever, basically. All right. Now that I have it kind of laid out again, I am gonna start cleaning it up. Let me just adjust this real quick. Okay, there we go. But that I mean, part of the reason for that is comic books. It's really interesting the way comic books have developed over time because comic book artists used to be um, how can I put this? Um, the comic book artist and the inker used to I'd just say the inkers used to do a lot more work. If you look at like golden age comic books, if you look at the pencil drawings and you look at the inks, the finals, it's crazy how much the inker would fill in and fix things and so on. But as comics developed over time, um, one second, let me see. True, I think it's cool. Some artists can create without reference. Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely its own skill, and it's really cool. I'm not. I think it's cool when artists. Honestly, when artists create cool stuff, I don't care too much how they create it. I enjoy artists creating cool stuff. Um, but yeah, as comics developed and like the second and third generation of comic book artists, got into comics, they didn't, you know, they didn't know the process. They didn't know how much was the inker and how much was the pencils and so on. And so they started just drawing like the finished comics themselves. And so um, when they got into comics, they started, they would draw like that. And so the inkers unfortunately got kind of pushed out in a lot of times in a lot of comics. Oh yeah, they used to do a ton of cleanup and were very crucial. But then, like I said, over time it got pushed out a little. And I'm not trying to diminish their skills. They're currently at all, but a lot of a lot of artists try and draw so clean that you almost don't need an inker. And I honestly, I understand why, um, but at the same time, I do think it's unfortunate because sometimes the collaboration can be magic. Sometimes it's not. So I get it, but sometimes it is. And I feel like that adds a lot. And also, talking from experience, it is exhausting trying to like hit those deadlines. So being able to spread the work, amongst uh, two people that way is very helpful. But that's the thing, right? Like comic books are very much a production thing, where it's a team effort. You're trying to produce something on a schedule. It's kind of like a you know, mini movie in a way. Of course, it depends on the art and the artist. I mean, there's always the like stories about what's his name? Oh, Kirby. No, wait. Jack Kirby. Yeah, Jack Kirby, who would do, you know, 8 pages in a day. You know, not, that's all, just eight. Uh, Stuff like that, where you're just like, I don't know how this is humanly possible, but okay. I read a I read a biopic thing on him, or like a history thing on him, and about his career, and it was so funny because it was, talking about the, his career and his the quality of his work and everything, and it was funny because at one point it was like with Kirby with Kirby's workload down to just 3 books a month, he could really stretch his legs, and you're just like, oh my god, how many books was he doing, and how is that humanly possible? um, yeah, that guy was something else. Yeah, he was a legend, and he's just something else. And yeah, he's all self-taught too, which is just crazy all around. I mean, I definitely think his style, um, like part of the development of his style was like his style developed in a certain way because of how many books he was doing, how many pages he was doing a day. So like certain things just, you know, he just developed like shorthands and, you know, quick what's it called? Quick ways of doing all those things. You love the fact that he was in the army and he created Captain America. Yeah. Yeah, he was you know, yeah, like a just he was a really interesting guy all around, and seemed like a really, you know, decent person all around kind of thing. Some there's a few creators out there that don't have the best reputation in the world. I've never heard anything negative about Jack Kirby. And I'm sure some people didn't like him. No one, I don't think it's possible to have everyone love you, but generally speaking, yeah, I've never heard anything negative about him. I know there are some painters who like really sketch everything in, like very detailed. They basically make a drawing of the painting and then they just kind of like fill it in. And there's, you know, absolutely nothing wrong with that. I've done that in the past. Um, but I don't know. I'm started to develop this technique where I don't do that, and I definitely think it works against me as far as speed is concerned. Definitely it's a slower system because I essentially have to like redraw the painting multiple times as I go through it because I'll mess up aspects and have to redraw it and back and forth and back and forth. Um, but I do prefer the final result of it, so I'm sticking to it. Well, yeah, but I'm not really worried about who American Nazis hate, you know. um, they can, they're just full of hatred in general. Are those painters detail oriented? Some of them are, yeah, I'd say so. One of those painters on what's it called on YouTube is Alpi. I think it's pronounced Alpi Fe or something like that. I can never sure how to pronounce his name. He's a really good painter. Like he is a very good painter. Um, and his videos are well produced. Like he puts a lot of effort into it. You can tell. And he has really thought out you know, opinions on painting and so on, which he conveys really well. I think his videos are really great. However, he is a very clean painter. He uses the brayer and he messes up his paintings and stuff. So he does do stuff like that and he adds randomness to it. But his paintings are very clean looking, and that is not a negative. But yeah, he does a drawing of his paintings first, and then he like he paints them, and it's like I can't get my brain to work that way and just like put down the strokes that way and just leave them and just be that clean with my paintings. Yeah, like I said, it's not a negative or anything. It's just, I think sometimes people, our brains, everyone's brain just works a little different, and sometimes you have to kind of lean into how your head works with things. And also, I think, there's also the final look and, you know, how you want something to look. Obviously, we don't all want our paintings to all look the same. So that also, of course, influences how you approach, you know, a painting. Yeah, I do recommend his channel if anyone wants to see a really good painter work. And his videos, like I said, are really good. Um, they're usually like 10 minutes long, roughly. I don't know. and they're fun to watch. I've been watching his stuff for a long time. How do I write the channel name? That is a very good question. Um, I am dyslexic, so this is going to be a challenge unless I take a break and find it. Give me a second. I'll take a break in just a minute and look for it. Um, which I don't mind doing at all because I also I'm thirsty, so it'll give me a second to take a break, take a sip of something, and look up the name. I am making a lot of bad choices with this painting. I knew that going in though. Like I knew before I started the painting that I was making a lot of bad decisions that are going to make my life very hard. Um, but I still made them. So we're just going to have to deal with it as I go through this. That's one thing I really not discovered, but discovered isn't the right word because you know, but um, I guess learned would be learned that like so many of the things that influence the success of a painting, um, so many of them, or not so many, but a ton of them happen before you ever start the painting. It's in choosing the reference, choosing the subject, choosing uh, the size, all of that, all of those things are so influential to whether or not a painting will end up, you know, will be good or not, or hard or not, and so on. And that was something that, it's really good to learn, but also I still make mistakes with that stuff all the time. All right, let's see. Here we go. This guy. He's really good. Highly recommend his channel and his paintings and everything. He's really good. Yeah, his work's fantastic. And it's nice. He's kind of a nerd. Um or a geek or whatever you want to call it. And he does some fun pop culture stuff too, a lot of times, which is fun to watch if you're into that stuff. Yeah, it's funny when I compare, like when I compare his videos to how I paint. Um, oh crap, I can't put this on. It's pretty funny because he's so like clean and precise and just like puts everything. It seems, like he just puts everything down so exact and perfect right out the gate. And I feel like a mess in comparison where I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Slop, slop, slop. And it's not really how I work, but you know, the contrast makes it kind of feel that way sometimes. Uh, but yeah, I mean, one of my favorite painters kind of works that well, a few of my other favorite painters work that way where they're just like they just seem to like throw stuff at the canvas almost and you're just like how did you make a painting out of that? But okay, you're amazing and your painting's amazing. But you're just like they just seem like they grab random stuff and just like I'll just put this here and it's a painting. You're like, oh, okay, that's amazing. So I think I think watching other people work, there's a kind of like magic feeling to how other people work, and your own work never feels like that because it is your own work. You know the struggle in it, and so it never it doesn't have that like magic or easy feeling that other people's work has. And of course, my guess is that it doesn't feel that way to them, you know, that they probably also feel that all the frustrations and all the struggles that, most artists feel. Because honestly, I've yet to meet an artist who doesn't have those things and doesn't deal with that because making artwork is hard. You know, it's not magic, it's a lot of work. And so, even though other people seem to like magically just make things, you know, I don't think that that's their experience, or at least that's what I tell myself. That, you know, Oh yeah, Peter Draws is great. I like him. He's also he's got such a like quirky personality. You know, he's so I don't know how else to describe his personality. He's just kind of, you know, like I said, quirky. He's great. I like him a lot. I don't I have a hard time sitting and watching his drawings for a long time, but I will like put it on, and I'll often put it on in the background kind of thing where it's like I like hearing him talk about stuff, and I like seeing the drawing at the end, and also, you know, midway, but I can't just sit and like watch it. But he's so good and so fun. And like I said, his personality is, you know, easily the best part of his channel. Um, I also like that he did like a what's it called? Um, yeah, I do that too. I won't watch him for a while, and then I'll go back and like watch a bunch of his videos. Um, yeah, he's fun. I like him. He seems like a nice guy too. I like how he did a what was it? An art show in his backyard. Uh, you know, I think it was during COVID, but I don't remember if it was. But yeah, he's a fun guy. There's also I'm gonna mess up his name. He does more digital art, but Adam Duffett or something like that. I can't remember. His channel is like liquid, not liquid art, but it's like Lucid Pixels or something like that. I can't remember. My memory for names is abysmal. Oh, of course, there's Stephen Zapata or Zapata. He does those like drawings that just go on and on kind of thing, like from, you know, from his head kind of stuff. He's really good too. I know you know. Well, I'm pretty sure you know of him. You know Adam too. Yeah, he's good. I like Adam. One guy I used to like, and I will never watch his stuff anymore. And I am talking shit right now, and I don't usually do that. But uh, I used to like uh, Jazza. I used to like him a lot more than I currently do, because he was his brother is very pro AI, and so he had some videos about it, and he's kind of riding the fence a little too much for me, and also like dismissive of the whole thing. So I stopped watching him. I'm also not his target audience, to be fair, but yeah. Um, Obviously, I know you know OPL, but in case someone's watching this and they don't know OPL, Our Painted Lives, fantastic. Um, Nicholas Uribe is a fantastic painter, really sweet guy, and his partner Danny is also really nice and a big part of the stream, and also a great artist as well. Uh, she does more wood carvings, not only though. But yeah, I highly recommend them in case anyone's watching this who doesn't already know them. Yeah, OPL. our painted lives. Yeah, Jazz and Shad. They lost me. I they lost a fan. Uh, Not that I was the biggest fan of Shad, but Jazza, you know. Anyways, um, trying to think who else. There's some good YouTubers out there who do some good art stuff. Just depends, there's a not some, there's a lot. Oh, um, oh, what's her name? There's one who's an oil painter who I like a lot. Lena Danya, Lana, Lena Danya, I think it is. Hey, Carla, welcome. Hey, no, so my stream got messed up in the beginning, so I had to restart it because I was having technical problems. So absolutely not a problem, and I don't mind repeating things multiple times. So yeah, it's not a problem. I am painting some family members. Um, by the way, how are you doing, Carla? It's great to see you. Welcome. Um, yeah, these are so on my trip. I took a bunch of photos, and I decided kind of getting back into painting. I've been a little rusty, so I'm working on some family portraits of family members as gifts and as a way of like just warming up and getting back into painting. And yeah, so this is my cousin here, her husband, and her kids. Um, I'm not going to show the reference photo because it's I didn't ask them permission to do any of this, so you know I'm cool paint blobs. There I don't think anyone can really be all that upset about me showing paint blobs on stream, but photos I'm not going to show. But yeah, it's just some gifts to kind of get back into it. I can show here. 1 second. This is another painting I'm working on. Um, Same thing. Crap. So yeah, just working on some gifts. I usually don't do gifts, painting gifts, because it kind of muddies the water between like um, you know, work and gifts and stuff like that. But these are unprompted, so they don't know I'm making them, so I'm doing them. Oh, thanks, Carla. Yeah, I'm happy to be doing this. And if you have any questions, you're, welcome to ask. If not, that's fine too, no pressure. But yeah, like I said, I try not to mix like work and, you know, it can get muddy when people start asking you for stuff like that. But like I said, because they haven't asked, they don't know that I'm doing this. I was just like, I'm gonna do a few, get back into painting, kind of warm up, get all the technical issues with my streaming out of the way, and then start doing. My plan is to start working on a series of paintings, like a cohesive collection. Um, So that's the plan. So I'm kind of working on getting that set up in the background right now, and then I will you know, I'll be streaming that when I get into it. It's also good because like this helps me figure out, like doing these streams helps me figure out like layout and stuff like that. Like I think the camera, where is it? Wait, oh yeah. I think the camera of me I will rearrange and put in a different place on a different stream, or in the future. Um, yeah, just trying to figure out the like technical aspects of it, you know. So, for Salmon, for paintings, I usually go pretty realistic. Um, I've drawn like I said, I used to draw comic books, or tried to draw comic books, whatever you want to call it. I had a couple published, but not many. But you know, and I'm working on storyboards, and storyboards I'm working on right now, or the job I'm on, is very cartoony. So I do can draw like that, but I don't usually paint um, very cartoony. I tend or unrealistic. I tend to for my paintings, I tend to go more into the realism, or you know, semi-realist. Like the I don't distort the subjects much usually. I will distort the colors to the point where I don't know. I entered a I entered a painting into a painting competition, and the competition had two options. You either enter in as uh, realism or abstract, and I entered my painting into realism because it was a painting of a woman. But the colors were so abstract that what's it called? Um, that they ended up like putting it into the abstract category, which I don't think was really fair, but you know, whatever, it's not a big deal. You were watching a Chelsea Lang video. Oh, and she mentioned me. Yeah. Oh yeah, I really enjoy working with her. She's really great. I have nothing but good things to say about her. I also recommend her videos to anyone who's watching. One second. Let me get a link for her. Because we were talking about all kinds of YouTubers and stuff like that. And yeah, she's really good. Um, yeah, I've been working with her. I've been working with Chelsea for, I'm trying to think. It's been at least a year, if not close to 2 years at this point. And my paintings have, like, I think I've grown a ton in that time. A lot to do with her workshop and her boot camp. Um, so yeah, I really enjoy working with her. And it's not just her; it's a whole group of people that she works with. Yeah, really good. So, so yeah. And in fact, that's one of the people I've been talking to about like creating a collection. You know, that's who I've been talking. One of the people I've been talking to and getting advice from about how to move forward and so on. My confidence, I mean, I think it my confidence in my painting has definitely grown over time, and a big part of that, um, yeah, a big part of that has been, I don't I don't want to say, how can I put this? Like, she doesn't work necessarily, well, she works with everyone a little differently, so it kind of depends. Um, my confidence has grown as my abilities have grown and as my not just abilities, but the ability to recover from things and the ability to anticipate things and know where things are going. But a big part of it is also the recovery. Like, my motto has been, with oil painting, as cliche as this is, and it is, my motto has been like no fear for a long time. The idea is just don't worry about making a mistake, don't worry about messing up, no fear. If I did it once, I can do it again, type of thing. And working with her has helped a lot because uh, it has helped like with the it has helped identify pitfalls and areas where like I keep making mistakes or where I keep struggling. Like, I was talking about this earlier that this painting right now that I'm working on, I knew going into it that I made a ton of mistakes before I even started the painting. Um, because and that's something that I learned from working with her, because a lot of a painting's success or failures or struggles all happen before you ever put any paint down. It's all in the reference, it's all in it's all in your choices of not just reference, choices of subject, choices of size, all these decisions, color, like composition, all these decisions that you make prior to ever putting any, before ever mixing any paint, um, can determine so much. And like I said, I knew going into this painting that I made a ton of like errors, or I've made a ton of decisions that are going to make this painting so much harder on myself. But I have reasons for doing that, not because I like to make things harder for myself, but because I'm planning on shipping this to family members and they're far, and, so on. Hey, Catherine, welcome back. Hopefully, the stream is better now. I fixed some things, and so far, fingers crossed, it's better. Yeah. I used to paint digitally. I Salmon. I used to paint digitally. Don't I don't anymore. I draw digitally, but I'll be honest, I do not enjoy painting digitally anymore. I tried it when I was on vacation visiting family. I took my iPad with me And I was like, I'll paint digitally instead of bringing oil paint with me and so on. And I did no painting because I kept trying to, and I kept uh it wasn't oil paints, and I was not enjoying it at all. So, yeah, digital painting is way more forgiving in a lot of ways. I mean, even the fact that like if I made a mistake with like the head and it's slightly off, I can just grab it and move it around and distort it and push everything into place. Um, what program is best to paint digitally? There is no one answer for that. Um, but I can try and give some advice. What platform are you working on? Are you working on a PC, a Windows PC, a Mac, a iPad, Android? What are you working with? Or what would you prefer to work on? Tell me, and I'll tell you what I think is probably the best. And while you're doing that, because of the delay, also, what kind of painting do you want to do? Do you want to do fake, digital oil painting, or do you want to do like clean illustration or comic booky painting, um, watercolor? Like what is the look you're going for? Because that also can determine what is best. You haven't done it yet. Could use the iPad of someone, but there's no program installed yet. Okay. All right. Let's see. Um, yeah. Salmon. Traditional is more fun, even though it's harder, in my opinion. So the like one of the easiest programs is Procreate on iPad. Um, it's a very good program. It's it appears simple, but it has a lot of potential under the hood. And if you're not very familiar with painting programs, I'm on the fence as like in some ways it's going to be easy to pick up, but in other ways, in order to know the how can I put it? There's a lot of things that are kind of hidden in it, and in order to learn those things, you either have to know what you're looking for or watch tutorials on it. Um, Honestly, you're going to have to probably watch tutorials on almost any program if you're unfamiliar with them. Um, it's just one of those things. You get to use your fingers with traditional. Yeah, I don't. I I tend to be a little on the like clean side. I don't like getting my fingers messy. So I tend to not use my fingers a lot. I also wear gloves um, for numerous reasons. It's not just a safety thing. Um, it's also a cleanly thing. I hate the feel of the gloves, but I have three cats and a dog, and if I ever need instantly clean hands, I like being able to just rip the gloves off and you know do that. Yeah. If you're getting into if you want to get into digital or try out digital, there's a um, there's a channel. Let me see. I'll find a link for you for a channel that has some free tutorials on how to use some digital art programs if you want. Oh, Catherine, for sure. It is so much easier and it's something that you can just do on the fly. Absolutely. I even tried to do some on my phone. I've seen some artists do amazing little like sketches on their phone and I'm just I look at it and I'm just like, how? How? Just how? Like I don't have anything else, just how? And I'm not like talking technical program that I can figure out. It's the mindset and to do it so small. Yeah. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's not, you know, you've tried Art Rage. Yeah, Art Rage is really good. Um, I've done some oil paintings, digital oil paintings in Art Rage. The problem with Art Rage is, unless they've updated it, the iPad version sucks um, compared to the desktop version. And I used to work with the desktop version, and I found it very frustrating to work with the iPad version of Art Rage. Um, it's very straightforward, though. That is one aspect. It's very simple and straightforward. So it is very much like, traditional in a digital format kind of thing. Um, and it's oil paints. It does a decent job of making like fake oil paints. Um, I still think on the iPad I think I prefer Procreate. Honestly, I think that might be my favorite iPad drawing program. Uh, I'll find it in a little bit, but Brad Colbo, he does a lot of tech reviews for artists, and he also has a channel on like on digital, ma making digital artwork. He's more cartoony. He's not that painterly, but a lot of the, technical aspects of things don't really matter. In that sense, it's, because it doesn't matter if it's cartoony or not. It's, you just need the technical aspects of it. And as far as that goes, he is very, very good at communicating all that stuff. The other app I would recommend is Heavy Paint because there's almost nothing to learn with Heavy Paint. It's almost as bare bones as you can make a drawing or a painting program. It doesn't do a good job of emulating real paint. It doesn't do a good job of emulating um, pencil. It is very, very digital. But because it leans into that, um, it actually does. I've seen artists do some really great things with it, and it's pretty cheap too. And you can get it on your phone and use your finger, if or a stylus if you have a note or a pen on your phone. But I've seen people do amazing stuff with their fingers because it so heavily leans into the digital. It doesn't matter. You're not worried about the like, oh, I need the pen pressure and this. It doesn't matter. You just kind of squiggle things around. But it's really good. I know it sounds weird, but uh, like I said, I've seen people do really great artwork with it. So because of that, I think it's a really good program. I also know the people who made it, or know them might be a little bit of an exaggeration. Like I've met them, I've hung out with them. I don't get anything from like promoting their program. I just think it's good. Yeah, it depends on your phone, obviously. I have a monster phone, so it's a little easier, but even I struggle with it. But I've seen people just do amazing things on their phone, and I'm just like, how? Okay, great. Thanks for making me feel, like a moron, I guess. But, you know, honestly, there's a lot of amazing painters out there, and I feel that way about a lot of a lot of stuff that other painters do where I'm just like, how did you do that? And why can't I? You know, it's just part of being a painter, I think. And some of them are just sketches, some people just they'll do like very basic little, you know, little sketches. The thing is, this is the conclusion I'm coming to, is that there's this really interesting thing in art, I think, where like the perspective is um is so like it you're how can I describe this? I'm struggling to describe this. One second. Let me see if I can get my words in order. Um so there's all these artists who I love, and I look at their paintings and I look at their drawings, and I'm just like their their paintings, their drawings. Um, welcome back, Simon. Um, are so fantastic, and um, you know, I love what they do, and but more than that, it just a lot of people do when they make artwork, they make it look so effortless, and they make it look like they're so clear about what they're going to do, and there's just this like unbelievable confidence and um I don't know how else to describe it, but this just this confidence in their work and so on. And I think some of that is kind of an illusion, not to say that like there aren't artists out there who are confident and know exactly what they're doing, but when I watch Nicholas Uribe paint, right? He talks about the fact that like it's hard. Painting's hard, and it's always hard. But you know, it's a matter of perspective, right? So when I watch Nicholas Uribe paint, like it looks like, you know, it has this like element of like magic to it because I'm not dealing with the struggle that he's dealing with, so it just kind of appears like this weird magic of creating. And I think that applies to most I think that applies to most painters and most artists. Um, you know, I do. I think that like I'm not saying that he's not amazing. He is. That's of course, but there's definitely a perspective aspect of it where it's like because you're not in their head. You're not dealing with the all the things. Like I've seen painters, they've shown a work in progress, and I'm like, please stop, don't paint anymore. This is fantastic. I love it. And they're like, no, it's not done, and I've been working really hard, and it's been giving me a hard time. And I'm like, what do you mean it's been giving you a hard time? It looks perfect. Don't touch it. You made an amazing painting. And they're like, no, this is just the first pass. And you're like, okay, I guess, you know? um, and I think that's something that, like I said, I think it's just a, I think part of it's a perspective thing, because they're struggling with it. They think it needs a lot of work. I think it's fantastic. And then when I do a painting and I'm like, oh, I see all the mistakes in my painting, and I see all the flaws and all the faults and all the stuff I need to change. And everyone's, and not everyone, but someone's like, oh, I think it looks great. And I'm like, how can you think it looks great? It needs so much work. I need a Danny to help me. Uh, I mean, you know, I, it would, yeah, it would be helpful maybe, although, I don't mind it, you know. I think if I had a lot more people in here, it might be more difficult. But you know, currently I'm all good. Uh, yeah, we are always the most severe judges, but also it's, we know what we wanted, and we know where we struggled, and because of that, we also see the flaws easier and so on. Whereas when you come in from the outside, you don't have that perspective of all those things. So it just a lot of times just looks good. And there's also like there's a lot of like there's a lot of paintings that I've viewed where it's like the little flaws or the faults kind of make the painting, you know? But I don't think that we always see it that way when we're actually painting, you know. But other people will see it and be like, no, that little flaw or whatever it is that you don't like, they'll sometimes that'll be their favorite part of the painting, you know. So um, it's interesting, it's interesting. It's always such a it's hard to know what's the like right answer as far as like how much to work on something or not. Oh, you like the self-portrait? Thank you so much. Yeah, that was a that was a fun one. I did that. I painted that on stream when I was streaming on when I used to stream on Twitch. It was fun. That oh yeah, well, I don't know if award is the right word for it, but it did win first place in the Jerry's Artorama self-portrait competition, which I was extremely honored to win. It was trying to remember, I think it was 2 years ago at this point, or maybe three. Time, does that thing where it keeps moving. But yeah, it was really exciting. It was a lot of fun. I really did not expect to win, but you know, I'm glad I obviously I'm glad I won. I'm glad I entered. Um, Bunch of people I know entered, and they had such great paintings as well. Yeah, it was like 2-ish years ago. Yeah. I'm still using the reward gift card that they gave me, uh, which I appreciate very much because it has helped fund my painting. Yeah. I hate painting self-portraits, but I've done a bunch of them. Um, by the way, four-letter word cards is my my partner, Michelle. Yeah. Yeah, when Nicholas Rive, the way he deforms everything, he just makes everything work so well. Um, yeah. No, I hate doing self-portraits, but I did a bunch of them because I needed reference and I was available. Um, yeah, but I'm happy to not do any more anytime soon if I can help it. Um, in fact, in this painting, in the reference photo, I'm in the reference photo and I cut myself out of it um, because I didn't want to paint myself. Um, yeah, I've done like trying to remember. I think I've done like seven self-portraits or something like that in like the last 2 years. Um, yeah, maybe more, but very very happy to not do any more anytime soon. Uh, no, these well, it Carol, Catherine, it depends how you want to categorize it. So I edit the photo in Photoshop and I adjust the colors to how I want them. Um, Not to say that I like change the colors entirely. Like I don't like selectively go in and change colors. Um, but I edit the whole photo and how colors appear in the reference. So like I increase in this case, for instance, every case is different, but in this case, I increased the brightness, lowered contrast, shifted you know, shifted the colors a little, desaturated it, stuff like that. I do all kinds of edits like that. Um, yeah. So yeah. I have one painting. Let me see if I have it out. Not on the wall, but anyways, I don't know where it is right now. But I have a painting that I did no edits and I did everything kind of like in brain as I refer to it. Um because I was editing all my reference and I wanted to I wanted to see how much of it I could do without editing it at all. It's definitely doable, and in fact, I think in some ways there's it's actually preferable in some ways to do no edits. Um, but overall, it's definitely easier to edit it, in Photoshop and get the reference looking how you want it. Because then it takes a lot of takes the guesswork out and you know what you're doing. Um, so you have an idea of what it's going to look like when it's finished. And honestly, it also reduces the mental load because, like, our brains can only do so many things all at once, you know. And the way we are able to do um, more complicated things all at once is that we learn to combine a bunch of little steps into kind of one step in our head, even though it's a bunch of like ton of little things. Um, like driving, you know, like in the beginning when you learn how to drive, you have to focus on all the little individual aspects of it. But as you know, improve and get good at it, it's just all kind of one thing, right? Like you don't even have to think about it. Um, and that's what happens with painting too. So when you can offload some of the mental uh, mental load of painting, you know, certain aspects of it, you can offload it into, you know, different areas or onto the computer by like editing the photo, then you don't have to think about it. That's why when I first started to paint, when I first started painting, I used to pre-mix all my colors because I couldn't mix my colors on the fly. Um, I wasn't able to like, I don't know, it was too much for me. So I pre-mixed everything. Now, you know, now I don't pre-mix anything. Oh, thank you. Catherine, thank you. You know, I'm doing my best to multitask. I definitely can tell that my speech pattern slows down and like ramps up. Um, you know, depending on like how much I'm concentrating on something. It's really interesting to like, you know, watch yourself buffer in real time. Uh, it's kind of funny. Um, yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, it's I don't know. Talking. I've gotten into the habit of talking while drawing or painting. I used to when I would draw when I would work on comic book work or stuff like that. I would hang out with my friends on phone calls and draw while being on the phone. So I guess I got used to it. Also, I used to do conventions, and that was always a challenge to like sit at my table, talk to people, and also try and get through commissions at the same time. That was always challenging. So, so yeah. Um, oh, thanks, Salmon. I try my best, you know. Um, I think it might be an ADHD thing, uh, partially, you know. So, sorry, there's some things happening. I thought something might be wrong outside. Everything's fine. It just it's brave to do self-portraits. Um, yeah, studying human face by using ourselves. I hated doing it, honestly. I really did hate doing self-portraits, but like I said, it was one of those things where like, when you need reference, like I'm always, you're always there for yourself. So you're always available. Um, I've found a lot of good photo reference online, and I've used uh, photos from online. But I'll be honest, there's a lot of hidden um, pitfalls in using reference that you find online. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do it, but there is a ton of hidden like problems that you don't realize are there, and you have to constantly be on the lookout for it. And honestly, I've wasted hours and hours and hours, looking for like the perfect reference photo online. Uh, it probably would have just been so much quicker to just do it myself, like do a self portrait. Of course, you get different subject matter online that like you can't get doing self portraits because, you know, for obvious reasons. I think you should do a few self portraits. Just go ahead and do it. You don't have to post them anywhere. Just go for it. Do it. Get it over with. Like rip off of the band-aid kind of thing. The other fun thing you can do is in self portraits is you can also dress up and pretend to be someone else if you want. That's always an option. I did a self portrait of myself that was unintentionally came out kind of looking like Jesus kind of thing. Like I said, unintentional. I was not trying to do that. But, you know, what can you do? Sometimes you end up looking like something that you're not intending. Uh, oh yeah, Salmon. It's a very common thing because people use themselves as reference even when they're not using themselves as reference. So the default tends to be like whatever they are tends to be the default of what they like draw or paint. Oh yeah, Carla, absolutely. I look forward to seeing what you do with if you post the self portrait of you dressed up. I'd love to see it. Even if you don't post it and you feel like sharing it with me, I would love to see it. But no no pressure. Um, I can show that painting 1 second. Oh, 1 second. I'm looking for this painting. Uh, now I'm just pulling out a bunch of self-portraits because I have them here all together. So let's see. All right. When you had to do self-portraits in painting class, you'd only done still lifes before? Oh, yeah, that's not fair, honestly. That's not fair because if you'd only done still lives before and then throw you into like portrait painting like that, that's setting you up for kind of failure in a way. That's I don't think that's very cool, honestly. Um, yeah, that's not cool. And curly hair is really hard to paint. Uh, if you like, it can be hard to paint just in general, but if you haven't developed techniques for it, it's very difficult. So, uh, this is the painting where I kind of look like Jesus. I wasn't planning on it. It was unintentional. I didn't see it, but yeah, that's the one. And this is one of my earlier self-portraits, and I like this one for numerous reasons. One of which is that even though it's, a painting of me, like it's not really a painting of me. I'm just, I'm in the painting, but like it's not a painting of me. Um, so this was one that I really liked because, you know, for those reasons. And then and this is another one where, yeah, yeah, it was a good photo. I liked it. So, and this is another uh painting that has a self-portrait in it, but the focus isn't the self-portrait, you know. Like I said, it's part of it. Clearly I'm in it, but that wasn't the intention. Exactly, you know. And then this was since I have it out, this is obvious uh, you know, COVID COVID self-portrait. Yeah, it was salmon. That painting was a what's it called? A selfie I took at a vegetable market with my mom. So yeah. Yeah, the mask. I did that early on when COVID was uh you know, first became a thing. So the mask is like what's it called? It's like a construction, worker mask type of thing that I got from that I had lying around kind of thing. Uh, so yeah. Thing that I hate is when it's warm, trying to put the gloves on is so yeah. I like taking snapshots. What the heck? Now my stream is suddenly poor. my quality. I hope it's not glitching out. Um, I just got an error message. Hopefully things aren't glitching out too much. Anyways, yeah, I like taking snapshots. I like candid photos. So I take a lot of photos of, like, when I was visiting with family, I took a ton of photos and they didn't know I was taking photos, you know? Um, so uh, I I don't know. I like those candid shots. The stream is good. Great. I don't know why YouTube is telling me whatever. Doesn't matter. I'll listen to you and let me know if anything happens. But yeah. Um but yeah, I like doing paintings of those things, but the lighting is the biggest, honestly is the biggest problem with those reference photos that are like candid shots. The lighting is so problematic, because um, like this painting, um, this was a photo shoot that I did with some friends, and I was able to uh, control the lighting, control everything, and so you get really much better results, you know, from from staged photos. But of course, you lose the spontaneity and the candid aspect of things. Well, thank you, Simon. Yeah. Um, so it was a great experience doing the photo shoot. I'd done a photo shoot with myself before that, which was also an interesting experience. Um, I think it's really good to do uh, like a photo shoot with yourself, to practice before you like hire models or something, because you learn a lot doing it. Unless you have a lot of experience doing photo shoots, in which case, you have experience doing it, so no need. Yes, I am. That is the photo shoot I'm talking about. And even in the photo shoot that we did, I took a ton of candid shots. Like I would take photos while they were talking, while they were readjusting, just kind of nonstop photos. And I think, I think I got some good photos from those. But yeah, being able to control the lighting is so so important, and sometimes that's why I'm always impressed. That's one thing I'm always impressed with Nicholas Uribe. The way he takes photos, that he just seems to take like candid photos. All his photos are candid photos, and he's able to make them work. And I know that's not entirely true. I know not all his photos are candid photos. But he is so good at that. Oh, Carla, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's that's the goal, so I really appreciate that. hands, you know, I love some people have that perspective of like nothing's harder to paint than anything else, because it's all just painting, and anything you paint is just as hard as anything else. And I love that thought, but like that's not always true. It doesn't feel like that's always true. Even though there's a truth to it, it doesn't feel like that's always true. Hands sometimes are really hard to paint. Oh, I'm happy to mention it again, Carla. Yeah, I mentioned it in the previous stream, but I am always happy to. I don't mind repeating myself. I expect to, I know how it works, so I expect it multiple times. I am using um, Mars Black, Phthalo Blue, Quinacridone Rose, or Permanent Rose, and Cad Lemon Yellow, and Titanium White. And I would say like 90% of all my paintings with this palette or variation. Like before I had Cad Lemon, I was doing Cad Yellow Light. And I'm actually going to I want to try Bismuth Yellow for, I think you can guess where I got that from. I want to try Bismuth Yellow. But yeah, that's my palette. I used to use different colors. I used to have I mean I still have them. I just don't use them. Um, like Cad Red. And there's almost no point in me ever using Cad Red unless I need that like really really red, like fire truck red kind of looking red. Uh, you know, Otherwise I can mix a pretty vibrant red with these colors. So I don't, you know, I used to have it on my palette and I just realized that like I either wasn't using it or the other thing I used to use it as a convenience color because if you mix cad red light with what's it called with certain blacks, it can give you a cad red with black and then white. It can give like a brown, brownish color that is very useful for like skin tones and stuff like that. But it was basically just a convenience color, really. Like it ended up just being, you know, like unnecessary. So I just stopped. I just took it out. Bismuth would be fun to try. Yeah, I want to try it. I fully admit that it's because Nicholas uses it. Um, but I will say this, I do try to avoid as much as possible. Not, it's not like my main goal, but I do try to avoid as many of the like toxic colors as I can. So I'm happy to I'm happy to use bismuth instead of or try bismuth instead of CAD. I'm happy to use Pyrrole red instead of CAD red in the future, at least, if I ever use it or need it. Um, yeah, stuff like that, you know. It's not like I'm not overly worried about the what's it called? The toxicity. Um, but where I can, when I can, you know, if it doesn't if it doesn't change anything, if there's no negative consequences to making the change, it's better. No, I prefer Mars to Ivory because Ivory is made from animals, and I am opposed to that on a you know, on principle. So I won't use it. I'll just use something else. Uh, right now I'm using Mars. I actually like Mars a lot. It's very opaque, which I do like. Um, I also have a tube of chromatic black, which I like. It's really good for mixing, although I actually like the opaqueness and the fact, like Mars Black will kill the vibrancy of a color, and I use it for that. So when I want to kill it, it's great. But Chromatic Black's really a good mixing black. Yeah, I'm vegan, and so I try not to use anything that's, you know, animal products. So that's I know it's like it probably doesn't make any difference, you know, honestly, as far as like using ivory black, because you know, there's probably plenty of what's it called? You know, bones out there, and they're not like lacking for it or anything, but whatever. Just it's not it doesn't hurt me to not use it, so I just don't. And then what's it called? Shellac. That was the other thing I was going to say. I shellac and natural hair brushes. Although natural hair brushes, I actually am the most opposed to because they do specifically pick animals for natural hair brushes for certain ones. So, so yeah, I'm really opposed to using natural hair brushes more than ivory black, you know. Um, yeah. Yeah, it I don't know what happened there. It just completely dropped. The stream like completely stopped. And then OBS just reconnected and told me it reconnected. So I don't know what's happening. I literally have changed nothing. And we should have really good connection. Like our internet is, you know, pretty strong. Should be. Yep. So we'll see if this keeps up or not. Yeah, that was weird. I don't know what happened. That's one of the things. It's blurry now? Huh. Man, streaming, there's always so many like issues, technical things. Yeah, our internet just like crapped out for a second. I don't know why. Just suddenly like we lost so much. Like I don't know what happened. If it's still blurry, maybe refresh it. That would be my recommendation.